Hi guys, and welcome back to another DrAce video, and today we're going to be playing MotoGP 22. Today we're going to be looking at the MotoGP Academy mode for Jerez, and we're going to try and tackle the Spanish GP together, and I'm going to try and give you as many pointers, as many tips and tricks to understand and improve your lap times in the Andalusia GP. But now to the left hand side we'll go to finish Sector 1, and then I'll give you a full breakdown of the first sector. So into Sector 1 we'll go then, into the hard braking zone for Turn 1, nice and firm on the brakes just before you get to the rumble strip. You need to be using a lot of front brake there and a lot of rear brake just to keep the rear wheel from lifting up and keeping the rear wheel stick to the floor. So we now go to Michelin for Turn 2, bring on the acceleration but not too aggressively, you've got to be very gentle on the throttle here, and especially with the Suzuki because it does have a tendency to kick out the rear ever so slightly. Keep it in nice and tight and get across the line. So Turn 1 once again, bring on the power. Just after you get across the finish line, begin to brake, keep it in nice and tight. See the braking on the bottom right corner of your screen, you'll notice how much brake is being applied. It's very important to apply the right amount of brake. Put too much brake on, you're going to start to stop it, you're going to start to endo, it's going to be a nightmare to control. But to the left hand side, moving it in nice and tight, get to the rumble strip and begin to turn to the left here nice and early. Don't get to the corner and then turn because you're going to be far too late. You need to be positioning that bike over well before you reach that corner. So into Turn 1 once again, pretty well. You can go for a really tight apex here or for the middle of the circuit. Slowly bring on the power and brake here just after that green part on the left hand side of your track disappears. Then slowly bring on the power. Turn in nice and early for Turn 3. Continue to bring onto the rumble strip and turn in nice and early once again. Nice and tight to the apex. You can even run on the rumble strip if you want. Slowly bring on the power. So for Sector 2, really easy sector. Brake into the Sito Pons corner for Turn 5. Either really tight to the apex or go for the middle and then bring it in nice and tight. Bring on the power, bring on the acceleration, get close to the 200 meter sign and start braking. If you go straight into that line, it'll invalidate the lap time because you've got to make sure you get it ready for the next sector. So into the right hand side, braking before we get to the Shingar and the Alpine Star sign. Keep it over to the right hand side here, keep it onto the right, keep it onto the right, slowly bring on the power, let the bike slide upwards to its natural position, and then start braking before you reach the 200 meter braking marker. Sector 2, one more final time, brake before the billboards to your left hand side, keep it on to the right hand side, keep it in the middle of the circuit, then go for the tighter apex upon the exit, let the bike move up to its natural stationary 0 degrees position, and then start bringing on the power to get to the brakes for 200 meter zone. So then guys, the next two sectors are the hardest part of Jerez, so we've got to get this one right, so I'm going to do them a couple of times. I went a little bit wide here for the Pedrosa corner. I tried it, I wouldn't recommend it. I'll go for the next couple that I'm going to show you. But to the left hand side now for Turn 7, there's no real brake marks on this one. This was more of an instinct feel, but best to go earlier on the brakes and keep the bike in nice and tight to each and every apex. To the left hand side, going to go in now for the right hander for Turn 9 for Angel Nieto corner, keep it in nice and tight and slowly bring on acceleration. Now that wasn't good enough for gold, but we're going to go firm on the brakes at the 200 marker, which we mentioned earlier, the 200 meter braking marker, nice and tight. We're going to go for that V-shaped line in that corner, you see, as the Hondas do. I'll show you that one in just a minute's time. But we're going to go onto the rumble strip, keep an eye to go on the left hand side. You need to be leaning in quite early here. If you lean late and lean when you're in the corner, it's going to be far too late. You need to be braking and positioning the rider into the apex for that long left-hander of Turn 8. So once more, braking at the 200 meter marker, go into a V shape, you're going to go into the corner, line the motorcycle up and then fire out of the corner. You've got to aim for that particular part. If you go too tight to the apex or too wide, you'll not get the exit and you'll not be able to position the bike in for Turn 7. But now to the left hand side, as mentioned, braking nice and early, very in control, very gentle on the front brake, just to trail brake the bike in and then move it over to the right hand side for Turn 9. Nice and tight to the apex. I'm going to go a little bit too eager on the acceleration here and cut the green. Yes, it counted, but I'm not showing you any cheats or tricks and like that. We're going to show you legitimately how to do it. So into the corner, the V-shaped line, now into the left hand side, braking nice and early for Turn 7, keep it in nice and tight. Now onto the rumble strip, or near enough to it. It's entirely up to you. If you want to use the rumble strip as a guide, you can do. But now to the left hand side, nice and smooth acceleration as well. Firm on the brakes, just touching the green ever so slightly again, so it's not really going to count. And now across the line. But once more time then guys, 200 meter braking marker, nice and gentle on the brakes, but a lot of firm controlled braking, nice and tight to the apex, bring on the power, that V-shaped line once again, to the left-hand side for turn 7. You've got to be braking there nice and early as you get to the rumble strip. Go on to the rumble strip for the right-hander now for the left-hand side for Jorge Martinez Aspar. Nice and tight to the apex, ignore Alex Rinz's horrible riding style. Now firm to the brakes for the right-hander Angel Nieto. A little bit wide, could have gone for a tighter apex and that would have given us a better time, but it is still gold for now. Okay then guys, this final sector is the hardest part of Jerez. This lap time to beat, or this sector time to beat, is very difficult, so we're going to look into this one quite a lot. But into the right-hander for Pelequi, slowly bring on the power, make sure not to a wheelie because you do lose a lot of time. Keep it in nice and tight to the Crivier corner for turn 11, bring on the power, but do not exceed track limits there because it is a killer on the tyres, you'll just slide off. Firm on the brakes then for the left-hand side for the Lorenzo corner. Went a little bit too hot there, could have gone a little bit tighter and that would have probably given us the lap time we desire, but bringing on the power, bringing on the acceleration and across the line, still not quite good enough. So let's try it again. To the right-hand side, this time nice and tight to the apex for Angel Nieto. Bring on the power, brake nice and firm for the right-hander Pelequi. Got to keep it nice and tight for that right-hander, really stick to the apexes in this track. To the right-hand side for Crivier, a little bit wide, could have gone for a tighter apex. Careful of going across the rumble strip there, and now to the right-hand side. Do not full accelerate in any of those parts. The Suzuki cannot get enough grip to full accelerate in that corner. You've got to be 80, 75% as much possible on the acceleration. No more than that because you'll just slide off. Cross the line, still not good enough. Sector 4 once again, to the right-hand side. Keep it in nice and tight to turn 9. Beautifully done. Bring on the power quite aggressively and then slowly bring on the brakes to the right-hander. Really close to exceeding track limits, but we're still good. Now to the right-hand side, braking well before the 150-metre zone. It's a very difficult braking zone, but you've got to trail brake to keep the bike going in nice and tight. Firm on the brakes as you get to the shadow. Keep going in really tight to the left-hand side. Keep it in nice and tight. Keep it in nice and tight. Bring on the acceleration. Bring on the power, and this one should be good enough. We lost a lot of time compared to the Ghost, but across the line, still not good enough. So nice and tight to the apex for turn 10. Slowly bring on the acceleration, but surely get on the acceleration nice and tight. Now to the right-hand side for turn 11. Looking much better here, but the Ghost is getting close. To the right-hand side once again, really close to exceeding track limits there. You've got to be really precise in that right-hander. Braking firm for the left-hand side, trying to do that V-shaped line as I taught you into the Pedrosa corner. Bring on the acceleration, and this could be the goal lap time. My goodness, it's taken me this long to get here. Cross the line, still not good enough. One more attempt, or at least a couple more attempts till we get this job done. To the right-hand side for Nieto corner, to the right-hand side for turn 10. Nice and tight to the apex, not exceeding track limits, but pretty much on the limit. Bring on the power before the 150-metre braking marker. Brake and then bring it in tight to the Crivier corner. Keep it on the acceleration, but keep it on gentle as you then bring on the power. Really good there coming out of the apex as we now go very firm onto the brakes. Going for that V-shaped line again to clip the apex onto the left-hand side. Bring on the power. And I think this one's going to be the job done. Bring on the power, ignore the Ghost, across the line, we've got the job done. So now it's about piecing it all together for the complete lap. So into turn 1, as I taught you earlier, nice and firm on the brakes, but in control. Keep it into the right-hand side for turn 1. Slowly bring on the acceleration. Get ready to brake as the green part ends. I got a bit of a wheelie there on the just as we went into the braking zone, so I went wide for Michelin for turn 2. But that's okay, because we can sort it out on the next lap. We can do the clean-up on the next lap. But to the left-hand side, keeping it nice and tight to the apex. I went a little bit too tight there, just getting on the rumble strip, not really what you want to be doing, so just be careful if you do. But now to the right-hand side for Cito Pond, slowly bringing on the power, bring it on nice and control, and then when the bike gets to 0 degrees lean angle, the two tyres are parallel, bring on the power. Brake at the 200-metre braking marker, and now go to the right-hand side. Going for that V-shaped line once again, nice and tight to the apex, and fire it out. Didn't quite get it as I would have liked on that particular occasion, but as I say, it's okay, we can piece it all together on the next lap. This is the banker lap, just to get us used to it and get us into the thick of things. Well, now to the left-hand side for Jorge Martinez Aspar, nice and tight to the apex. Slowly bring on the power and brake just after the Tissot sign. Keep it in, nice and tight to the apex with Angel Nieto corner. Bring on the power wide, then keep it in nice and tight for Pelequi. Beautifully done there. We don't need to be going crazy with the lap times or sector times in this particular sector on this occasion because we've already gained quite a big advantage with the other sectors right now. Coming out of Ferrari and slowly bring on the power. Braking at a little bit before the shadow there as we go really tight to the apex. Didn't opt for the wider V-shaped line this time around, but bringing on the power. This should be good enough, but I'd like to do another lap just to really clean things up a little bit more. So here we go, cross the line for the final time here today, braking really firm for the brakes for turn 1, keeping it nice and tight to the apex, really tight there as we slowly and gradually bring on the power. Avoid the wheelie this time around as we braked at the green part of the section. As you can see, didn't go wide that time, much more in control, leaning in nice and early for turn 3, get to the rumble strip, lean in nice and early for turn 4. Little bit of front brake there, just a trail brake ever so slightly, just to keep the bike from oversteering, or understeering should I say. So to the right hand side for Ceto Ponds, going for that tighter line this time around. Still works, but I would probably recommend the other strategy a little bit more. Bringing on the power, 200 meter braking marker, onto the brakes we go, very in control, you can see the brakes in the bottom right corner of your screen. Now I went for the really tight apex, and you'll notice the difference here. I've got to accelerate going wide and then to bring it in nice and tight. Yes, it's alright for a lap time, but I wouldn't get in the habit of doing that, because when it comes to racing, it's going to get very difficult to actually fight with the AI or fight with online opponents when you're trying to go for that line. So stick to the V-shaped line, it's probably better for the future, but for this fast lap time, that's just the occasion I went for this time around. But into Peloquis, a little bit aggressive on the acceleration there. The Suzuki just slipped the rear ever so slightly as I go really tight to the apex for Crivier. Bring on the acceleration, nice control, keep it in nice and tight. Bring on the acceleration once again, in control, brake before the shadow, nice and firm for the Lorenzo corner, nice and tight to the apex for a V shape to then fire it out to end the V and to get across the line for a very solid lap time. It's job well done here in Jerez. So guys, thank you very much for watching the video. I really hope this has helped you. If it has, let me know in the comments section down below. And of course, if you want to see more like these, hit the like button, hit subscribe. So upon that note guys, thanks for watching and ciao for now. Oh hi, didn't quite see you there. Good to see you're still here. If this video didn't quite sate your appetite, then why not watch some more DrAce content by clicking the video shown on screen now. Furthermore, if you would like to follow me on social media, you can do so now with the links down in the description. Consider subscribing so you don't miss a single DrAce video.